let's talk about the final loan approval and super fun, the closing day. So this can be a lot of information and this is really important stuff. So pay attention. I know it's long, but we'll break it down into pieces and hopefully just make it to where it makes sense. So final approval, final underwriting approval, meaning like, hey, the underwriter blessed you. Congratulations, you're done. Way to go. 9.9 times out of 10, you are done. Every once in a while, there is a loan that they need something at closing or prior to closing or after closing. In those circumstances, you typically know about it. So I would say the very, very, very vast majority of the time, you get final approval, man, it's high five, kumbaya, we're good. So congratulations, you're there. For the closing day, here's what you need to know. And it's going to vary a little bit based on purchase or refi and what state you're in and things of that nature. But let's go through that together. So first of all, you call it a CTC, clear to close. Like when you get the clear to close, everybody's happy. We sing kumbaya. Good for you guys. But at this point in time, when you go to closing, you're going to sign what's called the final closing disclosure, CD, closing disclosure. That's the piece of paper that's a couple pages and it tells you your rate, your payment, your cost, all the numbers. So that's called a closing disclosure. So when you go to closing, the reason why they call it a final closing disclosure is because during the process, there would be an initial closing disclosure sent out a handful of days before. So you probably, I'm guessing, at least if you're working with us, already signed that. If you haven't, look around. There's a link somewhere that you can go look for the initial CD. But the reality is the final CD. So let's go through that. So the initial CD is done. You've signed it. Good. And now there's a final CD. That's going to tell you to the penny what to bring and how to bring it. You do need to contact title and ask them how you need to bring the money. It's either going to be one of two things, most likely one of two things. It's either going to be a cashier's check made payable to the title company, right? And there's a whole right and wrong way to do that. So that's a whole nother section we can get into later, not on this video, but different. So either cashier's check made payable to the title company or a wire. So there are title companies that are picky. Some only want wires. Some only want cashier's checks. Please reach out to title directly and confirm that. The reason why I hesitated is technically and every title company is different, but let's say it's $1,500. On occasion, if the loan, if it's a refinance or something or a VA loan and there's less than $1,500, title companies, some title companies may take a personal check. Just assume they won't. Always call and get a cashier's check or a title or a wire to the title company. And there is wire fraud. So always make sure when you get an email, call and talk to the title company with an independent phone number, not on that email. Wire fraud is a big, big, big deal. So all this to say, the final underwriting approval means you're good and now you're ready to go to closing. Closing typically will take about an hour. You spend about 45 minutes-ish going through, signing the papers. The title person or the notary who's there will probably give you a brief overview of what to expect. I always tell folks, pay attention for about the first 5 or 10 minutes. That's where the meat and potatoes is, the rate, the cost, the payment, all that stuff. After that, it's like boilerplate type forms. Not to say that you shouldn't pay attention, but the boilerplate forms are usually pretty obvious. The heading says it. And again, somebody's walking you through it. If you do want to read and go through all that stuff, I'd recommend reaching out the title beforehand, try to get a copy ahead of time, but just realize you really can't change anything, not the verbiage at least. So if you want to see it to review it for numbers, I totally respect that. But to go in and actually want to change something, who knows? So that's what it takes. If there's a second lien or a second mortgage involved, those are very rare. I haven't done those in a while, but they are starting to come back. If there's a second mortgage involved, it means you got a second set of paperwork. So it might take a little longer, more stuff to review. Same thing. Title companies most often will want you to sign in a blue pen. So if possible, if somebody says, hey, here's a black pen, just ask them for a blue one. I've had that blow up. And the reason being is they want to know that a blue pen shows that it's not a copy. Whereas black, if you make a copy of a black, they can't tell which one's the original. So leave your special, pretty black one at home, get a blue pen. They might make you do it. You will need some form of identification, driver's license, government issued ID. In other words, call title. If it's something besides a driver's license, call them. Sometimes they need 2 forms of ID. So maybe you got a visa, maybe it's a passport, something like that. Just call and make sure you're good, but they have to have some form of ID and it will be notarized. So if you're buying a homestead property in Texas, Texas is a community property state, which means both husband and wife or husband to husband or it's wife and wife, spouse and spouse. If you're legally married, I don't care if you're separated. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, give it a title, but the reality is If you're legally married, both people for a loan on a primary home need to be showing up to closing to get it done. So you must be present at closing to get that done. Some loans, like a Texas cash out, requires and mandates that it be at a title company. You can't do a remote closing. So again, guys, always check with title and make sure that you're doing what they need or want. But anybody on the loan, anybody on the contract needs to show up and sign papers. There are power of attorneys. So we can talk about or remote closings. So if somebody can't make it, they're at work or something like that, you need that to happen. Talk to title about either doing a remote closing, and I've done that. Somebody's come to the house and Caroline and I signed, or you can do a power of attorney where maybe, if somebody's not there, but the power of attorney, again, we got a whole video on that too. There are things that have to happen. So you got to get it done long before, and you have to get it made by the title company. So you can't just use a generic one you have at home. And you're like, I got one that's general power. It doesn't work. So just keep that in mind. So as far as, what time do you close? What's preferred? If you can do it earlier in the day, terrific, midday, lunchtime. But if don't, I don't love too later in the afternoon, because some cases, a seller or like a builder, for example, may not issue keys or give keys access until the money's in their account. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. As long as the title company has money, everybody releases the keys. But still, check with title, check with their sellers. When do I get the keys? Ask those questions. So if possible, close, lunchtime or before. If it's not the end of the day, check with us. We're way lenient. We're really good at what we do, but at the end of the day, it's not our choice as to when you get the keys. So once we do this, you spent the hour, you've signed your life away. They're making copies for you. They give you copies. It's not official until both you and the seller sign. And then the title company takes the documents. They then give it to the lender. The lender reviews, not the whole package, but they have the important documents. The lender says, hey, I got everything. You're good. Here's the password to get the secret money for the wire that's sent over. Not until the title company calls and gives you the thumbs up are you official. It doesn't matter if my group says something, because we're going to confirm when the wire is done and out and money's released. It's breaking and entering until the title company says you're good to go, because they're the official, they got the fiduciary responsibility. They're the official say of when it's official. So it doesn't matter what we say, as much as I'd love to take credit and say, oh, we get to deliver the good news. Not the case. So a couple of other things to note. This is rare. It's not quite as often these days, but a couple days before closing. So as you guys are prepping for this, now that you're cleared to close, just keep in mind that there can and most likely will be a lot of times a check to make sure you still have your job. They will call a day or two before closing to make sure you still have your job, and they'll get somebody on the phone and say, hey, is said buyer still employed? Yep. Are they still going to be there? I've had people quit their job or turn in a notice or retire. Please don't do that. Wait till it's funded, done, and official, and you moved in. There's instances where a credit report may get updated. The balances, not re-pulling a credit, but they may go in and re-pull. Again, depends on the program, the lender, etc. It's not often. Again, but it can happen. They will check inquiries. So if they see BMW Financial, they may be like, hey, did you buy a car? And then you got to disclose it and go back to underwriting. So there's absolutely ways that this can still get mucked up. So please talk to us. Don't do anything silly. Don't do anything big. Don't go buy that new fridge. Don't go buy that new furniture until after you checked with us and make sure everything is good. So again, as I mentioned, going to closing, process takes 45 minutes. Bring your driver's license. Bring maybe 2 forms of ID if it's something beyond that. I would bring a checkbook, by the way. Let's just pretend something happens, good or bad, where the numbers are 50 or $100 off. You've wired the money, you bring the cashier's check, and for some reason, maybe it's $100 is needed. You can write a check for that. If it's off in your favor, you can leave a voided check and they can wire that $100 back to you. So I do recommend a checkbook if you got it. Beyond that, that's really the big picture. So once the final CD is ready, if that hasn't happened yet when you're watching this, our team will certainly send you a copy, call you to review it, make sure it's everything you need, want, hope, and dreamed it would be. And that, I think, covers what you need to know. So obviously, if you have questions, guys, call us. We're here to answer anything and everything and make sure you have a good, wonderful, smooth closing. And as always, thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. And feel free to share, subscribe, and send it to anybody that might need it.